we would like to see more action by non-governmental organizations and more broadly civil society. There is still a lot to be done. Presenting federalism to the general public would have been an extremely useful exercise. So I think this is a very nice area where non-governmental organizations could be very active. And not only in a theoretical point of view, but in seeing how it works in practice. There is a lot being done. I have to acknowledge that many people are trying and they have done quite a lot. More is always required.
The participation from both communities, main actors which are influential on the public opinion shaping, is limited. Generally, those who are participating, they come from similar political approaches, political visions. They have same or similar political perspective generally, not always, of course. And I think we need to include more those who are not normally seen or perceived as supporting comprehensive settlement in Cyprus, in order to understand them, in order to create an environment for them to participate and share their own views and concerns.
I think any society benefits from an energetic and engaged civil society. Therefore, your name, Engage, is particularly appropriate. I do think that you have made important inroads in trying to build trust between the two communities. I think that's one of the most important things that civil society groups, both among Greek Cypriots and Turkish Cypriots, getting to know each other better and to support ongoing efforts aimed at a comprehensive settlement here.
I think we should never underestimate the capacity of voluntary organizations and civil society at large. It would have been very refreshing to see people that are not in the mainstream, the mainstream of political life, articulating a position in a capacity of civil society.
Helping the two communities to understand, through discussion of course, the exact meaning of, at least for them, the exact meaning of certain concepts, principles in this comprehensive settlement negotiation process. For example, in both sides, I do not believe that when it is said that we are looking for bicommunal, bizonal federation, I'm not quite sure whether the layperson understand the exact meaning of federation or bizonality or bicommunality in practice, in day-to-day life, how it is going to affect their life. They are not aware of this. Everyone has a different vision for that, different perception for that, and I think in discussing these things and in helping the two communities to come to a kind of a consensus, at least each community their own consensus on the meaning and the scope of these principles and concepts, civil society can play a role.
Our Secretary General of the United Nations, Mr. Ban Ki-moon, has frequently said in his reports on Cyprus, and also he said it in his public statements, how important the role of civil society is. He's called on the leaders to engage civil society actors. You know your own communities best. You can get a message out about peace and reconciliation to help to advance the peace process. And again, as I say, it's really a lot of it is about building trust and understanding that the other side, if there is an other side, is actually really a partner rather than an opponent or a person to see as an antagonist. I mean, you're in this together, you're all on one island, and Cyprus and the people of Cyprus need to better understand each other through this vehicle of civil society organizations.
I think when we move forward, there would be quite a lot of opportunity for civil society, and civil society showing by example. So there must be a lot of intercommunal component of the effort. Here we are the people, civil society, having common views, spanning the two communities, and setting the good example.
As long as the leadership who negotiated the comprehensive settlement is supportive to that comprehensive settlement, things are less complicated, and you can then think about the way civil society can cooperate with the leadership in informing the people, in preparing the community. These peace settlement agreements are legal texts open to interpretation of different persons. So how is it possible to share it with the people in a simplified way to enable them to understand? One should think about these type of things, preparing leaflets and booklets and other things, but I think it requires an expertise, and civil society can have a role definitely in that process.
I think that day, and we will all be delighted when that day comes, civil society will have an even more important role. Organizations like Engage, also Home for Cooperation, which we saw launched last May, and I thought that was very important because the two leaders came to that as well. Also the Cyprus Community Media Center, organizations which already are in place and which are providing a space for people to talk to each other, will be able to support these new plans. Sometimes I think civil society actors can speak more frankly in an independent way, with an independent voice for peace and reconciliation that's more difficult for political actors to do.
Issues of property, territory, the issue of settlers/citizenship, and of course the issue of security and guarantees. Really, we have never discussed this, in spite of the fact that we have been working for 4 years almost now. And these have not been discussed. Property, we tried a little bit and it didn't quite work. We tried also on citizenship, but we couldn't even get any figures on which to measure the size of the problem. And on the other hand, my fear is that some people are putting quite an artificial timetable, because to say that we must finish everything by the 1st of July on account of the fact that the Republic of Cyprus will be chairing the European Union is a very tall order, because we had 4 years almost behind us, and we haven't discussed these things, and we are now saying we'll do it, we have to do it in 4 months. And this is a major concern for me. Generally speaking, and particularly to you, that first your heart is in the right place, and I wouldn't like to disappoint you. I don't like to start a catalog of blame. I am not in the blame game, and that's why I rarely start cataloging the reasons why there is no progress. I only hope that we won't go to a crisis and that we'll maintain our negotiating position even if we lose a little bit of time, because we have no other objective except the solution. This is my view, my feeling, my vision.
I can tell you that basically the problem, both in the negotiation table and in the street as well, is related to misperceptions, lack of confidence, and prejudice. And these things prevent the two communities and their main actors to understand correctly what is exactly asked by the other side when it is asked. I mean, when you propose something and ask something from the other side, because of lack of confidence and misperceptions, it can easily be interpreted differently. And while you are asking 80%, for example, it can easily be perceived by the other side as 95% through these prejudice. So I think these are very important obstacles against the success of the process, against the reconciliation between the two communities. I do see a role for the civil society, as I said, first of all, to help the two communities to discuss the meaning and scope of certain concepts, principles, and ideas which are shared and common on paper, but when it comes to substance, they are not shared, they are not common, they are the source of the conflict. So civil society can help the two communities to discuss these issues and to try to understand the expectations of the other community, concerns and fears of the other community, but at the same time the civil society can help in addition to the leaders, I believe, because leaders shall have a very important role, can help each community to identify which fear is the genuine fear and which fear is an artificial one created in the past because of different reasons, which I don't want to go into.
We, as the Greek Cypriot side, always talk about working for a solution, having a vision for the solution. And whenever anybody says to me and our team, you must have a plan B, I say no, plan B is a negation of plan A, and our priority is the one and only plan, the plan that will lead to a settlement. We should persevere and maintain our efforts for a settlement. It is possible that we may continue to disagree in some of the aspects. Then we should try again and be patient, try again, approach the problem from a different angle. I think a breakup of the negotiations would have a disastrous consequence.
As you know, there is a parallel process now. In addition to the comprehensive settlement process, we have bicommunal technical committees. They are basically dealing with day-to-day issues, needs of or common needs of the two sides. Even in case of no settlement or even in case of lack of such a process, life shall go on. We will need to cooperate. Conditions are different. The situation is in north is different. The existing situation in south is different, but this does not change the fact that there is a kind of interdependency which necessitates a level of cooperation on this island, which is unavoidable, I believe.
Well, it won't surprise you to say that we are planning for a settlement. This is our goal, and our every hope is to support a settlement. It's up to Cypriots to write their future. You know, there's nothing that's prescribed in the universe that said Cyprus had to go through this number of decades of difficulty. It's the dialogue between the leaders and civil society and the population at large that they have to understand that this is for their benefit. It's for the benefit of everybody on this island to have a united Cyprus that can continue its life in the 21st century and be a place that, in my view, can be a good example to the rest of the region. And I think Cyprus could set a fantastic example of a long-standing conflict that finally reached an end and where you were able to achieve a settlement. And you would have the support of everybody, the United Nations, European Union, international community as a whole, I have no doubt, would be supportive of this. I would like to say one more thing just to commend Engage. I know I've attended a few of your events in the past, and I think you're doing wonderful work. You set a very positive example that exactly how we see a constructive partner for of civil society, and you have people from both communities supporting this, which is, you know, I'll give a plug for United Nations Development Program as well, because I know that they're your active partner. I'm here with my UNFICYP hat, but I do think UNDP has done a wonderful job in supporting you.